Go ahead, Ariana.
My name is Ariana, and I will be speaking about justice. If you look up justice in the dictionary, it will state the quality of being just, impartial, or fair, the administrating of deserved punishment or reward, the fairness in the way that people are treated. These ideas revolve around people wanting to be treated equal. I will not stand here in front of you and explain that I am of any higher importance than anyone else, or that my family's financial situations makes me any more or less of a person, because that's not what I believe. We are all created equal. Our country is founded on the idea of that. Thomas Jefferson said, "We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endued by their Creator with creation of certain unalienable rights, that among these, life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness." If our country was founded upon these ideas, why do we have trouble keeping justice, serving justice? It's because justice is subjective. My ideas and your ideas are different about how we think people should be treated, how punishment should be given. It's because of these, we've spent so much time trying to come up with systems of how we should punish those who go against our society's morals. Because it's our morals as a society that allowed us to come up with these rules. And so whenever someone breaks these, it's hard for us to keep peace. And it's hard for us to keep peace. Which is why we have our rules. As you look around this room, you will see faces of people that belong. Sorry.
You're good.
The faces of these people are people who want to be treated fair, just like everyone. But if you look around the world, you're not going to find that that's the case. We need to search for ways to fix this. And I can't tell you that there's an exact way to do it. We've been trying this for thousands of years since we've started civilizations, trying to come up with ways to better ourselves. But to me, we need to work on it together. Y'all, as the school board, students spend a lot of times, about 8 hours a day, Monday through Friday, at school. We need to show them and demonstrate that everyone should be treated with fairness. And it's harder to do than to actually just say. Because these kids, they go out into the world and they're surrounded by technology. And this technology gives them access to any place they would like to see. We have people at schools who are afraid that one day that they'll come home and their parents aren't going to be there. And there's a lot of controversy about how that we should address such issue. So, I guess what I'm trying to say is, it's our job as a community to work together. These are young minds in our hands. And these minds are going to become our future one day. And they're going to make our decisions for for everyone else. So we need to start by giving them this foundation that justice comes in many different ways, but we need to cooperate in order to serve it correctly.
Good. Thank you.
Ariana, I want to tell you that the majority of our students that come up here, they read straight from their script. And for you to try to just speak from your heart and memorize things you wanted to say. That's very special, and we appreciate it.
Thank you. Okay, now we're going to have the introduction of the representative from the Student Advisory Council.
Yes, Mr. Allen and the board, each month we're blessed to have members from the Student Advisory Council, either from Bastrop High School, Cedar Creek High School, from Circa, from Genesis. We have representation on our Student Advisory Council from all those schools. Tonight we have two juniors. We have Erasmo Galvan, a junior at Bastrop High School. Erasmo, welcome. I'm going to make you talk here in a minute. I'm going to make you talk. And then Devin Jones is a junior from Cedar Creek High School. And Devin, I think he's going to be recognized with some other things later on tonight. And I'm going to embarrass him because I like to do that. That's my favorite thing to do. And I'm going to jump the gun and tell you that he's on all-state band. That means he's a state champion in band. Let's give him a round of applause. You knew I was going to do it. Yeah, you knew. Okay. Real quick, Devin, I know we're just juniors, and Erasmo, real quick, stand up and maybe tell us a little bit about what you plan on doing when you graduate, and maybe something about the Student Advisory Council that you think is really beneficial.
To stand up?
I said stand up. You know that.
I want to stand up and make a scene for no reason. So after high school, I don't have any particular university or college in mind, but I do want to go to college, and I plan to study music education because I would like to be a band director at the high school level and eventually at the collegiate level. So there's part A. Part B was the meetings, right?
Yes, Advisory Council.
So I appreciate the meetings a lot because as a student that feels like their voice isn't really heard by, the higher ups in the school district, the meetings really help me feel like I have that voice, and it's also really beneficial. And I think it's nice that Mr. Murray has students pick other students, so that way there's a large variety of voice. You get people from band, or you get people that are in the on-level or the AP classes, and you just get representation from everybody. And I think that's really beneficial to the school and the district as a whole.
Great, Devin. Thanks.
Good.
Well,
My name is Erasmo, and I plan to go to A&M University for 4 years, and then probably transfer over to Baylor to go to the medical school. And what I like about the meetings is that he actually understands our voice and our problems. Because there's some teachers who don't listen to us and don't want what we want. Because this is our school for 4 years. We want to be able to experience any other chapter school. And by him giving us the items that we need, it helps us, have a good high school year, and allows us to differentiate between all the students.
very good, Erasmo. Thank you. I'll say this, they're talking about their time with me, but you've got to also remember that the fact that you're here tonight to sit in advisory to the school board is unheard of. We may be the only school district in the state of Texas that has students sitting in advisory to the school board. And to our board members, I applaud them for doing that. So thanks for being here tonight. We appreciate
Kelly
it.
had something.
Devin, what instrument do you play?
I play the euphonium, which is basically a small tuba.
Okay.
I know it's not really a common instrument, so
no.
I feel like you explain that.
Should have brought it with you.
That's okay.
They done a solo or something.
Yeah.
Maybe next time.
Okay, there you go. Yeah. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
Okay, we're going to move on to special presentations recognitions. Mr. Bob Jones is coming
We
up.
got a lot of recognition tonight, and we love doing that. So, Bob, you can help us out?
Yes. Good evening. Today we want to honor a young lady, and I say young because she was young at heart the entire time, and Coach Esther Wright. And if you don't know Miss Esther, and I use the term coach because there's probably no one in this room who deserved the term more than her. She passed away a few weeks ago, just a few weeks short of her 100th birthday. And very seldom did you not see her at some event at Bastrop High School. So much so that they had plaques for her and her sister in the stands. It was unbelievable. She attended Bastrop Public Schools. She taught English and PE for Bastrop ISD. as well as coaching here in Bastrop. She was the very first, her and her husband were the very first coaches for women's volleyball in Bastrop ISD. And so when I say coach, she was the first, and for our women's sports. She also coached basketball and tennis. I've been here 2 years. I probably went to my first 2 or 3 volleyball games, and I'd see these two ladies sitting over there, and I go, wow, I mean, they're here every game. And I went over one time and introduced myself to her, and I go, I'm the athletic director, and she informed me that she was the first volleyball coach ever. And I asked her at that time, I guess she was 98 then, and this is kind of an inside joke with Mr. Murray and I did offer her a coaching position. She declined. Okay, I don't understand, but she declined, but she said she would be there. She was a dedicated member of the Bastrop Senior Golf Association. This is interesting. She had 4 holes in 1 in golf and was still chipping and putting at the age of 99, almost to the day of her death. Obviously, she's honored through our athletic department. Coach Creek and I have just talked. We're going to name an award after her that we will give to a senior member of the volleyball team, and start doing that and set up that award. Obviously, maybe not your best athlete, but the person who is there every day. So we're looking at that. It's impossible to count all the friends, family, people she mentored, and to be honest, I don't know what else to say except that she'll be missed. And so, as a board, I'd like us and as a group to give Miss Esther a round of applause. With that, we're going to honor some of our athletes, academics. First up, we have Coach Creek, and 2 of our 3 athletes are here today, so Coach Creek will introduce them.
Good evening. Excuse me. I have 2 of my senior athletes here. I was arrived in Bastrop 4 years ago, and I was honored for these girls to be with my first class, and they've done amazing things on the court, but more importantly in the classroom, and that success is going to take them far. Quinn and Katie both were honored as academic all-state, and in order to be academic all-state, you have to have a 94 average from your freshman to your junior year. And just being in the classroom for 14 years, that's not easy to do, and so both of them are academic all-state through Texas Girls Coaches Association. And Quinn has recently been named to the Texas Association of Volleyball Coaches All-Star Team this year, so she'll be honored and playing with the West squad, I believe, in Waco in May. So extremely proud of them, and they're going to be missed, but I'm sure they'll do great things and honor Bastrop.
Next, we have Coach Lang from Cedar Creek High School, his volleyball players.
Hi. Like Coach Creek, we had 3 honorees for Texas Girls Coaching Association Academic All-State, one of whom couldn't be here this evening, Paige Gieselhart, because she's playing soccer. But Avery Tuggle and Rebecca Brady both qualified for that same award from freshman through junior year. They also qualified for the Texas High School Coaches Association Academic All-State, which is a 90 and above for the same time frame. Rebecca was first team academic all-state, and Avery was honorable mention. Excuse me. And then Avery was a Texas Girls Coaches Association all-state player, which is given out to the top 40 volleyball players in 5A for her athletic accomplishments this season.
Wow.
So, those 3.
Just add to what Coach talked about, Avery being selected for first team all-state volleyball player, that's huge. I mean, they only select, I think, 40 in the entire state. And for her to be one of the top 40 players in the state of Texas in 5A is really quite an honor. Last but not least, we got Coach Patman and the BHS football team.
Okay, good evening.
want to say thank you for the board to be here and recognize our young men. Cameron King is not here with us tonight. He had to work. And so these 5 young men were second team all-state, all-academic. And so they had a 92 average or above. And so it's a pleasure to coach these guys, but also when they're great students. I'll start with Jake Oates. Jake is his class rank is number 60. We have Joseph Tasuli. His class rank is 57. Austin Want is number 16 in his class. Then we have Reagan Carter, who's also number 48 in his class. And so not only are he's 50, he's 50, and he's 48. I'm sorry, I was a little off. These guys are competitive. They're very competitive. So great young men. Jake, UTSA, Texas State. Austin will go to Blinn before he goes to Texas A&M. And Reagan Carter, who is actually the fastest guy in Bastrop County, will either go to UTSA, Texas State, or there's one more school looking at him to run track, Angelo State. So he's still working through the process, but these 4 young men have great standards, high standards, great academics, and they're great men. Thank you.
Thanks, Coach.
Finally, just so you know, the Bastrop High School, Cedar Creek High School softball game, which was postponed because of weather, will be played tomorrow night at Bastrop High School. Love to see you guys come out. It's always fun when those two get together. So thanks again.
Thanks, Coach.
Yes.
Thank you.
Oh, okay.
Jumpy, isn't he? All right, James, we have the honor of having Council Member Bill Peterson here, and he's got a proclamation that he'd like to share with the board. Bill, thanks for being here.
It's my honor and pleasure to be here before the district board, and thank you guys for having me. And just a little bit before we get started, just tell you a little bit about, well, first of all, we're going to start, I'm here to honor our Black History Month, and hopefully we can share a proclamation that was done by the mayor and the city council, and hopefully we can share that as many schools as we can over the rest of the course of this month for Black History Month. But a little bit about myself. I'm a native Bastropian, and I went to school at Emile High School at the time on the south side, which is now Emile Elementary, and I stayed there through my sophomore year. And as a freshman, I moved over to what was then called Mena High School, which later in 1968 got changed to Bastrop High School, which this is Mena campus right now. This is where I graduated on these grounds right now. After graduating high school, kid at 18 got that mind about him, and my parents wanted to send me to college. And I told them, nah, 12 years of school is just enough for me. So I did not go to school at that time. But I ended up going to the U.S. Army, and then that's when I figured I needed more school. The world was changing so fast right up to desegregation, and it was just time for me to get more college. And I ended up going to Central Texas College in Killeen. And after I left there, I went to work for LCRA out of Sim Gideon plant as a power plant operator. And I stayed with LCRA for about 4 or 5 years. And then I changed jobs. And after LCRA, I went to federal prison for 24 years. But I could go home every day. I retired as a facility manager. Now I'm back in Bastrop and proud to serve on our city council. With that, I'm going to read the proclamation for Black History Month, February 1st to 28, 2017. Proclamation reads, African Americans have played a central role in the nation's history, but far too long historians ignored or glossed over their contributions and injustices that they suffered. The origins of Black History Month came to be traced to a scholar, Carter G. Woodson, who in 1926 conceived a yearly celebration to help rectify the omission of African Americans from history books. Today, the observance of Black History Month throughout the United States stands for testament as the success of Woodson's project an example of how we can work together and make teaching a history and honest. And whereas the theme of Black History Month in recognition of the crisis in Black education. The crisis in Black education first began the first days of slavery when it was unlawful for slaves to learn to read and write. In the pre-Civil War northern cities, free blacks were forced as children to walk long distances past the schools on their way to the schools that were solely regulated for them. Whether by laws, policies, practices, racially segregated schools remained a norm in America to the late 19th century, well into our time. The touted benefits of education remain inclusive to many blacks of all ages. Tragically, some poor performing schools serve as pipelines to prison for youth. Whereas, yet African American history is rich with history's efforts to resist the crisis of slaves, to rectify the endeavors to learn, to raise rise of black colleges and universities after the Civil War. Unrelenting battles in courts and Black history movement, freedom of schools in the 1960s, the local community-based academics. Addressing this crisis of Black education should be considered one of the most important goals in American past, present, and future. Whereas we pay tribute to the heroes of African American history, we remember the courages of the activists to defy injustice they have suffered and how long they continued to carry forward the unyielding hope of guiding the movement toward justice. Facing the terrible odds, they worked tirelessly to achieve the full equality in other citizens, and this month we celebrate their bravery, toil, and sacrifice for this long road to justice. And therefore, the members of the Bastrop City Council encourage all residents, business owners, schools, churches, and visitors to join us in celebrating Black History Month with the appropriate programs, ceremonies, and activities. Now, therefore, I, Ken Kessler, City of Bastrop, Texas, do recognize this month of February as Black History Month. And with this, therefore, I have hereto set my hand and caused the seal of the City of Bastrop to be affixed on the 14th day of February 2017. Mayor Ken Kessler. Thank you very much. I would love to pass this on to the board, if I may, that it could be carried to some of our schools and read to more of our students.
Yes, sir.
Thank you all very much.
James, Chico, if you come forward. Chico Portillo is our Director of Fine Arts, and I want to say something because I think it's really important. You know, we introduced Chico a few months ago. He was our interim Fine Arts Director at that time. We're so blessed to have Chico with us. Spent many, many years in Pflugerville ISD as their coordinator for Fine Arts. Was a long time, very successful band director. I understand just recently Performing Arts Center over in Pflugerville ISD was named in honor of Chico Portillo, and we just want to give him a round of applause for that. And so Pflugerville's loss is now our gain because now Chico
Yes.
is our full-time Fine Arts Director. It's all yours, Chico. Thank you.
I've always felt that I was a lucky man, and I'm thrilled to be here, and this is where I want to be. So, but I thank you for that applause and that intro. It means a lot to me. I feel like we're all family. I have two families now, so thank you. Well, good evening, board and Mr. Murray. It's my pleasure to introduce several of our high school band and choir students for some very noteworthy achievements tonight. The high school students who I'll be introducing tonight have mastered playing several college-level pieces in front of several judges, 5 at a time, behind a closed panel, totally without them knowing who these students were, and for multiple rounds of auditions. Each one of them has made either the Texas Music Educators Association's district or all-region band or choir and have performed in this all-star group of very talented musicians in the area. In addition, we as a district have had more students actually go to the auditions and participate in this challenging and competitive audition process. So I'm very happy that we're getting the kids ready and putting more out there. So I want to first acknowledge the Bastrop High School students would come forward. These students, I want to name them. They're Tyler Doty, Francesca Ramirez, Emily Loudon, Grace Flores, Fred Owens, Kobe Laird, Austin Gillespie, Zach Newman, Jocelyn Enriquez, and Jordan Knotts. Would you please give them a round of applause? Their directors couldn't be here because they're working with the rest of the band at a rehearsal. Next, from Cedar Creek High School, I'd like the Cedar Creek High School to go ahead and stand up. Let's go to the left over there by that sign. All right, these students are Madison Wensky, Nick Wensky, Christian Nunez, Scott Stalcup, Eric Davis, and Devin Jones. Would you please give them a round of applause? Their directors are here, and would Mr. Mendez, Dalton Davis stand up, please, if you're here? Wave your hand. They're in the back. They're in the back. They've given up their chairs. But we have something even more special. As you know, that this is such a hard, competitive thing to do is through this audition process, make the first round. Only the best ones get to make the second round. Then you make the area round. And then from the area round, it's really selective. So Mr. Devin Jones, who is also on the council tonight, made it all the way to the area level of competition in January. And by coming in first place in the baritone audition room, he is the first Cedar Creek High School band member to ever earn a spot in the TMEA All-State Symphonic Band. Wow. So congratulations. He attended and performed at the yearly TMEA Music Conference 2 weeks ago in San Antonio, and now he is among the top 2% of the tens of thousands of students who started this process in the state of Texas. So one more round of applause, because this is big stuff. All right, thank you. You guys can sit down. I don't know if the choir, if the Cedar Creek High School choir kids are here. In any event, there are two of them that made our region choir, and that's Ariana Alvarado and Rodrigo Alvarez Jr. Okay. In addition, one more thing about Devin. If you want to know more about Devin, we have his picture on the website and some more cool stuff about him, so please visit the website. And then moving on to the middle school world, we also love the fact that we had several students audition at the middle school level, and that's kind of where it all starts, isn't it? We have to have a good feeder program of talented kids to grow the high school programs. From Bastrop Middle School, if you're here, if you'll stand and come forward. We have Chin Chin Liu, Lauren Fowler, Cassandra Rocha, Gwyneth Sade, Elizabeth Rangel, Vincent Kopecki, Anthony Mercado, and Camille McDonald, all from Bastrop Middle School making the ensemble. And lastly, in the middle school division, from Cedar Creek Middle School, if you guys can stand and come on up somewhere. Yeah, why don't you go there? Right here, I get you. We have Monica Perez, Georgia Sobek, Isabel Seguin, Ismael Jones, Isidro Torres, and William Hewitt from Cedar Creek Middle School making the all-region band. We're so proud of all of our students, and next month we'll be bringing you some more great acknowledgments that have happened recently too. So I like this monthly thing to show off our kids, so thank you.
We like it too.
Thank you again for your
Very
continued
proud of
support in the fine arts.
Thanks,
Thank you.
Last bit of recognition, Brown is with Les Hudson and some HOSA recognition. Les?
President Allen, Mr. Murray, members of the board, it's my pleasure to be able to recognize some members from Bastrop High School that have competed at area in their HOSA contest. That is the student organization in health science. And at this time, I'm going to invite their advisors, Annette Harrison and Connie Townsend, up to introduce the students and tell you what they're going to state to compete in.
The students competed in January, the beginning of January, and placed as follows. Avery Coy first in clinical nursing. Georgia Prashandra first in extemporaneous health poster. Hannah Atterbury as a sophomore second in prepared speaking. And Rolando Benavides will be competing in healthcare issues. They will be competing at the state conference in Corpus Christi at the end of March.
Congratulations. Thank you. James, all yours.
Okay. We're actually going to move on to our superintendent's report, board discussion. We're going to have a curriculum report. Looks like Dr. Hewitt.
Mr. Murray, members of the board, Mr. Allen. I want to update you on our new courses and our course catalog process, how we do it in Bastrop ISD. Process begins in October, and we work with our principals, assistant principals, and lead counselors at our high schools. And then we complete this course guide over a process of meetings about how we're going to add. We give way to what's our schedule going to look like, what's our bell schedule, what's all of our pathways, and how new courses come into play as we move through HB 5, House Bill 5. We complete that about January 9th, and then our counselors go out to classes and start building the future course schedule and what it looks like through course requests that students request. And then we have in this process what our innovative courses look like. This year, we're adding Project Lead the Way at Bastrop High School. We do participate currently in a civil engineering class at BHS. We have MAPS classes that help our freshmen, some of our freshman students with study skills and writing and reading and math in this class. And it's considered an innovative course. Mr. Murray brought that to us about 2 years ago. We have newcomers English language development classes that we're adding at both high schools, and this will help with our ELL population. I worked with Chico on our new fine arts adding courses that we're adding. We're adding instrumental ensemble, AP music theory, theater arts 3, technical theater 2, costume construction, and we're out offering musical theater at CCH. It's a pleasure to work with Chico. He brings a lot of information as a fine arts director in another district, and he can see things and connect stuff really well, and so he's been a blessing to work with. We're also adding some dual credit courses, 7 of them at our Circa campus, and we're really excited about our working with E3 Alliance and the Dana Center with a college prep math class at both CCH and BHS. And really, really excited about AP Spanish at the middle school, at both middle schools. And we're working on that transition right now with principals and a team in place to get all of how we do accreditation and all of that. So those students will come out of middle school with possibly 3 high school credits just taking AP Spanish. So that is very, very, we're excited about that. So to conclude, basically, our courses are built on course requests. Students request those, and then we see how many numbers are in there, and then we decide and weigh that out. You know, if there was only 4 requests, then we'd have to take a hard look. Do we keep that class? If there's over an abundance amount of requests, and that we decide how many teachers we need in those sections. We also base this on certifications. We have to consistently look at our teacher certifications and make sure that all of our students, or all our teachers are certified to teach, especially in our middle school, because those are high school credits. We have to make sure the certifications match. Of course, attrition, if a teacher retires or goes to another district, that can affect some course offerings as well. And then again, we're in a legislative year, so we never know what's on the table or what they could add that could start as early as 2017-18 school year. So, do you have any questions?
I'm excited to see all the new classes. That's great.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Hewitt. It looks like we're going to have a little operations update, and we're going to hear from Garrett Coy from Southwest Foods Excellence.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen of the board, Mr. Murray. Got a team of people behind me. I'll introduce you real quick.
Where does that?
Protection around here. You know. This is Dan Metello, our president of the company. Of course, you know Patricia Lewis, who's one of our most valued catering specialists. We have Chef Lex is our district chef, and I have Craig Hempel, which is our associate director, and I have John Weiner, which is our vice president, and Anna Manis, our director of operations. So this is a part of the team that's really helped us start Bastrop on the right foot and really get our child nutrition program going. I'm going to turn it over to Patricia. She wanted to say a couple of words. And we'll go from there.
Hello, everybody. Good evening. And I wanted to thank you, Mr. Murray, and for everybody on the board to be here tonight. I would like to say I have worked in child nutrition for the past 3 years, and I have worked with Southwest Foods for the past year. And it has definitely been a pleasure, and it has been wonderful and amazing to be able to go to the different campuses and see all the smiles on the children's face. Why? Because they're happier, because their food tastes better, and it looks better, and not only does their food taste better and it looks better, but a lot of the children that weren't eating the previous years are now eating, which helps them with their education, because when they go back to class, their bellies are full, their brains are where they should be, and it's going to help them with their grades and maintain a good attitude. I have a daughter who attends Bastrop Intermediate, and it's nice when she comes home in the afternoons and she tells me the great stories about all the feedback of what the children are saying in the cafeterias about SFE. It has definitely been a pleasure working for this company. I'd just like to say that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Very nice.
Our President Dan Metello will All right, I'll go ahead and start. Well, I've got a little presentation, just some before and after photos, some different things. First off, thank you very much for voting us as your food service management company. It's been a pleasure to be in Bastrop, to get to know all the many people that I've met, all the different administrators. It's been wonderful, so I really appreciate that, and thank you very much for the opportunity. The first slide we have here is just some before and afters. One of the things that was brought to us from Mr. Murray and the Student Advisory Council is the look of the cafeterias and how things presented themselves when you walked in. Of course, you eat with your eyes first, and how do things look? What is, is it a beautiful presentation? And just a few pictures. I don't know if you've been around to the cafeterias, but just a few pictures there of the before and after, and what a difference that it's made. And I hope that you get out and take a look. The TVs are absolutely amazing as well. So part of our district partnership is working together as a team. We have brought in a HR team to help with the transition. We brought into an opening team to help with the transition. Sorry, I didn't do that. And we also had yes, thank you. Can you click it? Sorry.
Is that what operations means?
It's the only thing I need her for, right? We also we enjoy being invited to the sportsman banquet. That was very enjoyable. It was a unique experience. It was nice to see all the local faces and get to mingle and to be a part of the community. It was a really wonderful experience, and I'll be better prepared next year. I didn't know what it was all about. So. We also introduced our Bastrop food trailers, which was something that the Student Advisory Council and Mr. Murray wanted us to bring to the table. And so far, we think it's gone off with ups and downs of success. A little, it's a new thing for us, but it's been a great response from the students. We started serving breakfast tacos out of them. So we're, trying to capitalize as much as we can and get as much excitement surrounding them as possible. And we rotate those between the middle schools, the high schools, and CRCA and Genesis. So kind of get the variety of students out there that get to experience that. So, and then our media coverage, I know we had, Dr. Lee was very wonderful in bringing out KXN News and getting us a news spot. So I don't know if you've watched that or not, but it was a really nice piece just to showcase what we're doing with the trailers and how the students are really taking to it, and we really enjoyed that. And then there was in the Bastrop advisor, Chef Lex Solis was in there for some work that he's done in some different classrooms. So the promotions that we've completed so far, we had an Academy for October. We did Academy gift cards just for sports, hunting. So the students, as they ate lunch, they were entered into the drawing, and one student from every single campus won an Academy gift card. In September, we celebrated Jim Hence's birthday with an all-green salad bar, and the ladies got all dressed up, and Miss Piggy and Kermit the Frog, and so it was a lot of fun. They really enjoyed that. December, we invited students to try lunch, to receive a free ice cream, for us to do a survey. So we got the feedback from that, and also just got kids in to have lunch with us and try the food. So we're trying to win back the students and see what we're doing in our cafeterias. And in January, we celebrated National Pizza Week, which of course the kids like that. So we've also introduced roving chefs, started the roving chefs. We started Blue Bonnet in Cedar Creek. This is a program where Patricia and Chef Lex go in and they basically walk them through a tour of the kitchen, let them meet all the kitchen staff, learn how to wash their hands appropriately by counting happy birthday to yourself 2 times. And then they sit down and they actually make something. We'll get more and more involved as the kids get older. We'll do more and more things, and we'll have, every campus will have a roving chef. So I think he's already completed 4, but we just had 2 on there. And then our student surveys. So like I said, we did the survey. It was wonderful. The kids were invited to come in and have lunch with us just to try to get their feedback. What do they think about the food? What are their favorite items? So part of that survey, we had 70% totally rock. It was pretty cool. 22 maybe. And then we planned some taste testings with some newer concepts at the high schools and middle schools. And then we'll also be finishing off with surveys so that we end up, performing well towards the end of the year, and also starting with a menu that we know the kids are really going to enjoy. So, and really hearing their feedback in that. And with that, I'll open it up to any questions or comments.
Just a fun question. What was the least favorite item just to do?
The least favorite?
Right, food-wise.
Celery. Sometimes the rice. Sometimes it's not as flavorful because it's brown rice. So it. But those were definitely the least favorite. They let you know that. So you try to get them to try that.
I know this comes as no shock to Chef Lex. He's been with our Student Advisory Council several times. Appreciate that. Erasmo knows that we talk about food quite a bit, don't we, Erasmo? Yeah. It comes up. But they've been very, very responsive, and Lex has been to many of our Student Advisory Council meetings. Along with doing these other things, with getting more students outside the SSAC involved with the very young children, and getting them exposed, and being junior chefs and doing taste testings and things of that nature, we really appreciate it. Just being very responsive to the things that we ask of them, and just particularly, I don't know if Rasmus remembers this, but and it may have been at Cedar Creek the other day when he was with our Student Advisory Council, that they specifically said, just like you said, Ashley, there's some things that we're not real thrilled about. Could you bring these things? And those things are coming forth pretty quick, especially some things they're really excited about, So we appreciate that because we've not necessarily had that same kind of responsiveness in the past, and we appreciate that.
And especially all your extra activities that are involving the kids. That's great.
Well, thank you. We really appreciate it, and thank you very much. So.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Erasmus, since you're there, okay, so what's your favorite food? Gotta ask you questions. I mean, you're not here just to look good.
I'll just stick with the nachos.
The nachos.
The nachos.
You hear that, Lex? He likes the nachos. See, we ask very hard-hitting questions when we bring in the student advisory council.
Great, we're going to move on to another report. It looks like it's going to be our strategic action plan. Dr. Christy Lee.
You should have a copy of the memo in your packets and the presentation. That's what I'm going to be going through. So as you'll recall, last spring we went through the strategic design process, and the 4 goals for the 5-year strategic action plan that we came up with related to instruction, communication, recruiting and staffing, and partnerships. And that's just there to remind you what those goals were. And they're, of course, on our poster here in the Service Center on all our campuses as well. So those are the goals that we are working towards. Within each of those goals are performance objectives. And so we have 3 performance objectives related to curriculum and instruction. The first one focused on determining what it is that our students and teachers need and what strategies we would use to identify that. So to this point, we've conducted a survey in the fall of teachers, of principals, to find out what their perspectives were on their needs for differentiation of instruction. And those results were used to make programming decisions for this year. This spring, the staff will be asked to sort of do a self-assessment of where they stand in relation to the profiles for a teacher and a leader. So self-assessment instruments will be utilized this spring so that they can kind of judge where they stand at this point against the profiles that we said were important to us during the strategic design process. And then students will also be surveyed this spring so that they can kind of tell us what their level of learning is, where things stand for them now, and we will use that as feedback on future instructional programming. The second performance objective in curriculum instruction related to our instructional model and trying to improve that for improved student differentiation. So biweekly meetings have been held since August to work on the curriculum management plan, and I know you've heard Panay and Dr. Hewitt talk about this before. It's a 3-year curriculum management plan. By July, we anticipate having year 1 of that 3-year plan completed. Ongoing, since the start of this school year, C&I has been assessing their needs, our needs as a district and on the campuses to try to align the programs that we offer with our initiatives and with our goals. And so that's an ongoing process. And then this spring, from March to May, horizontal alignment meetings will be planned to make sure that we are being consistent across our grade levels so that what's happening at 3rd grade reading at Bluebonnet is the same thing that's happening 3rd grade reading at MENA, to make sure that we are being consistent and doing things with fidelity. Our third performance objective in instruction related to professional development for our staff and developing a framework within which we would factor in their needs and their experiences. So that is in the early stages of development for this year. Primarily to this point, they've focused on a teacher's content area and their grade level, but more is going into that. The teacher and leader profiles that I mentioned earlier, putting those into the framework, as well as digital instruction, and then some kind of a rubric that we would use to assess how well that framework is functioning. So then we move on to the second goal, which was related to communication. So the first performance objective is developing a consistent protocol for our internal communication and our external communication. So the rebranding process was completed earlier this year with all of the collateral materials and whatnot that we've seen throughout the district. Consistency in the branding is what's in process right now with our publications and web design and video production, and we're still working on that. This spring, we will do a survey to find out and to update our user preferences. In fact, just yesterday, I went to a session at a conference on social media planning and learned a lot about just in general how people get their school information, whether it's in terms of devices. And so I want to find out that, and we'll do that this spring, about how our users prefer to be communicated with. And that will go into the protocol. The second performance objective related to getting out into our community, into the community to solicit feedback and to share information with stakeholders. You all are well versed in the community forums that we held throughout the district during the fall, primarily related to the election. We also held Q&A sessions with our high school students on voting in the election. Following the election, to gather feedback, we conducted an online survey, and we used that for making decisions going forward. We hired in the department a specialist to focus on interpretation and translation. There was a huge backlog of documents that really needed to be translated and interpreted, and that has all been completed, and now we're doing things that we really hadn't thought of before. In terms of translating, we can do so many more things because we have someone on staff and not having to rely on other departments to borrow folks to do that for us. And our specialist is also participating in the collaborative community meetings on a regular basis with our ESL and bilingual staff and families. The third performance objective in the second goal is making sure that all the things that we produce in terms of online and print media is effective, engaging, and relevant. So we have published all throughout the year new content daily and weekly on our websites and through our social media channels and in film. All of our print products this year have been published in dual languages. The most significant was the calendar. That had always been done in English, and that was a large publication. Currently, only about 15% of our social media content is bilingual, and so we are working to expand that throughout the spring, trying to decide if we're going to operate separate channels or if we're going to integrate the Spanish language into the existing channels that we have right now. And we are in the early stages of developing our own newsroom, and I don't actually mean a physical building, but just where we will be producing more of our own stories so that we'll still definitely include the media. We want to do that, but I've just added another story to my list of story ideas while we were sitting here, the roving chef, because I hadn't heard about that, and I think that's great, so that we can produce and deliver our own content. Then we moved to the third strategic action plan goal of recruiting and staffing. This relates to expanding the use of social media to enhance our recruiting. So the HR department has been exploring their recruiting options through both paid campaigns with Facebook and with LinkedIn. They will begin using Twitter in the spring and summer as a way to recruit applicants, to update applicants on job openings, and so that will be a new foray for them. You make fun of me for my use of that word. I heard you out of the corner. I heard.
She'll explain to you later.
The second performance objective related to promoting and making sure that people know about the desirable characteristics of Bastrop ISD, and so we have produced 2 videos working together, our 2 departments, one in English and one in Spanish. We are making tweaks to that right now, but we hope to be able to use that at the first job fair that we're hosting. Is that April the 9th, the one that we're hosting?
April 29th.
April 29th. But then I know they have lots of other ones planned. And then the aspects that we're looking at highlighting, listed there for you, $4,500 dual language stipend, the salaries, our strong professional development, and that goes back to what curriculum and instruction is trying to do with the PD framework, and our mentoring programs. And finally, attending and hosting the job fairs to strategically recruit. So they've spent time analyzing the recruitment and teacher turnover data, and our high priority areas are elementary bilingual, CTE at the secondary level, secondary math and science, and recruiting more minority teachers. And I mentioned the job fairs that they have planned. And they're looking at online screening tools. Do you know what those are, TK, the ones that you're looking at?
Yeah, so with Spark Hire, we're probably getting ready to roll that out in the next few weeks. It's going to allow us to shorten the time in between the application, for first contact with the district, and application, interview, and job offer. So online, bringing principals much closer to the applicants from the first time that one of us meets them out on the road recruiting.
And then finally, that's okay, go ahead.
And the teacher screener is to be able to identify our top talent. We're in the final stages of receiving some quotes from two more vendors. That product will allow when people submit an application with us, they complete an inventory that takes about 20 to 25 minutes. It will give us then a profile, and then principals then will be able to use that as their first source, not a final determiner about teaching ability or capability, but it gives them an idea of the strengths and weaknesses of the various applicants, so that when they do go to interview, they know more than just seeing a resume and name on file.
Okay.
Our final goal related to developing and strengthening our partnerships. So we have held joint meetings this fall with ESL Bilingual, our migrant staff, and communications staff. The collaborative meetings will continue all throughout the spring. As I mentioned earlier, we scheduled and had bilingual meetings in the fall for the election, but turnout was very low. And then as I mentioned before, our specialist has been involved in all of that as well. The second objective related to expanding our partnership with We Believe. We have continued to be active in our monthly meetings with them at the Chamber. A protocol has been established. There were some issues in the past with the We Believe campus visits, and so we've strengthened our communication between the We Believe team and the Service Center, and between both of us and the campuses to communicate those We Believe visits. 2 public service announcements were filmed recently, and those have been provided to We Believe, and those will be, so those are new theater spots that will be showing in Lost Pines Theater. And then the third performance objective relates to just educating our parents and the people out in the community about ways to be involved. So we made presentations in the fall at chamber luncheons to promote our Career Portals program and our Volunteer Mentor program. We held a CTE tour in the fall, and we plan to do that again in the spring to update that. We are working on alumni profiles. It's one of the things that we want to plan to do for this spring, to highlight alumni who've graduated from Bastrop High School, possibly Cedar Creek High School, but we haven't had that school very long, but who've gone on to do great or interesting things, and either have returned to home and made Bastrop their home, or not, either way. And then finally, in the next couple of months, as the spring draws to a close, we will be working on year 2 performance objectives, making any adjustments that we might need to in the year 1 performance objectives, and then planning for year 2 going forward. So, do any of you have any questions about the goals or about the performance objectives, where things stand for this year?
I have a quick question back to the employee screening. I have a good friend of mine that works for Monster employee, and she was telling me about how some companies, one of the big issue is they'll get so many applicants, and going through this, 1,000, 1,500 people applying for these very small amount of jobs. The idea is to cut that down and to really help identify great employees for the district. Is that the purpose?
Yes, sir. And so feedback from our principals is exactly what you just stated.
Yeah.
The teaching position opens, they'll have 150 applicants, and there's no way to do the sort except for maybe something, but they don't know much more about them than the information on the resume. Well, this screener will then allow them to give them more information. The various products, the dimensions that it assesses varies between product and product, but they have a complete profile of the individual, and it also suggests questions that can be asked in the interview to follow up on things that were submitted to the profile.
Gotcha.
So it helps them sort it, and with the online the video application, the online interview process. For example, when we go out to recruit at job fairs, I'll be immediately able to send people a link to interview with Bastrop ISD, and so then when the principal sits down, the principal can then be at home at night see that interview instantly. They don't have to wait for me to come back from the job fair, tell them about this applicant, get the person to apply. We immediately have something on file, and they can move forward and invite them in for a campus.
Nice. Thank you.
Terrell, and I think this is kind of a follow-up on that. I was very impressed with the language. Our efforts will be focused on identifying candidates who understand students and are committed to best practices. So is this what this survey, or not survey, but the information that you're getting to the principals is based on this kind of belief?
Yes, ma'am. When we went out to search for the vendors, that was one of our things, questions that we asked them to say, tell us how we want to invite talented teachers. Here are our needs. Here are the profiles of our learners. And so here's what we're needing teachers who can meet this. And can your screening tool help assist us with this?
Great.
In kind of conjunction with that, my son works at Google in HR there, and so he's had some experience of doing these massive sorts because they get a lot of applications. But one of the things that they do is they go through and they really work with the hiring managers to identify a list of characteristics, traits, skills from the hiring side, as opposed to just having the person present what they have and matching those up, on a kind of grid thing. So I suspect we'd have a set of kind of expectations to align with our student population, for example, to be able to communicate with the type of students that we deal with. But also, and I would guess it would possibly be a little different from campus to campus as far as saying, we need an 11th grade science teacher. Well, what does that mean? What are the skill sets that do we have that kind of matrix in place from our side too to match up with the information we're now going to be getting on these?
And we're developing that. We've been partnering with Jason and Vinay to work with our principals, working with TASB on the session on effective interview questions and procedures for the campus level. So our principals will receive that this spring to help develop that process, as well as about the online Spark Hires is a product that we've chosen. Principals, we're going to have a set of district questions that are available, but principals can go in and tailor an online interview. So, for example, they do their sort via the screener, they see the initial interviews for your Spark Hire, then they can say, okay, for these 5 people, I want to ask them these specific 5 questions to tailor to what our fit is and what our need is. And the great thing about Spark Hire, the way it works, I receive the link as the applicant. I then at my home, I guess I could wear my suit, but I have the flexibility to do it from my phone. I record myself on my phone or from any computer that has a webcam, and then complete that interview and then submit it. And the principal then has even more detail. And
so that
it's
that
quicker.
can align the...
Right. You don't have to wait for somebody to come in and do it. You can just send them a link instantly. Our goal this year is going to be to shorten the time between initial contact, interview, and job offer, especially for our top talent, because we want them here with our kids.
Is there something that's similarly in place for, I'm not even sure if your application process requires recommendations? Is there something in place to do that too? Can I identify in these recommendations these strengths and matching those up that way as well?
Yes, sir.
Say he's a good guy, it's like...
Right. And we're going to look at our entire hiring process this spring and get the feedback from our principals and look at the questions that we're asking and doing our reference check, just to make sure it's applicable, because he's a great guy, he's my friend, but can he teach,
Yeah, because they have a whole separate process out there they have to do from internal references, references.
And one of our checks is, while we do have the 3 online references that come into our application management system, we require principals to call the most recent supervisor or their current principal when they do a recommendation to hire. And so when it comes through, if that hasn't taken place, I always give them a call and say, hey, I don't see the most recent supervisor. Can you give this principal a call and let me know what they say? Just to double check too. We just don't go by what's on the paper.
Right. That's good. Thank you.
Ms.
Any other
Lee,
questions?
yes, goal 3 and performance objective 3, is that hand in hand with what Terrell's talking about in regards to those characteristic traits and stuff? Are we going to be parallel with recruiting and, the job fairs and, retaining staff and increasing the structural continuity? Is that all? Because it seems like those traits that we'd be hiring for would go right along in with that.
Oh, sure, especially, because you're in front of people there, face to face, so you want to be armed with that information.
Thank you, Dr. Lee.
Thank you.
It's good information. We're going to move on to our consent agenda. As everybody's looked at it, if anybody wants to pull anything off of the agenda item.
Let's see, I just had a question about the general fund budget. Is that in the consent? Budget amendment, yeah.
Yes.
Sandra, can you clarify or tell us why there was, is it $1,457,800 less allotment from the state?
Well, that was actually based on what our ADA is streaming right now. We've had there's been a lot of flu this year, and our ADA is somewhat lower than we anticipated, so I wanted to go ahead and get that reduction. Hopefully it'll be higher by as the end of the year goes, but to be more proactive in reducing that state aid now, just knowing that our ADA is lower than we anticipated.
Okay, so that was just a.
Yeah. Luckily, our tax
average.
revenue is up, so that kind of offset that, but.
Okay.
I just wanted to do that right off the bat, so we don't have at the end of the year a big reduction and have a lot less than we expected.
Okay, thank you.
So our state revenue reduction is almost the same amount as our increase in tax collected.
At this point, but it could change again. Tax collections could be higher or lower a little bit, but that I analyze every quarter, all the time, but then if there's another budget amendment needed, we'll do that before the end of the year.
And Matt, I'm glad you asked that question. We're streaming, it's a public meeting. We tried to explain this quite a bit when we went out and did our best to convince people why the TRE was critical for this district. And there's people out there who truly believe that because the values went up, we have this inordinate amount of extra dollars because of local values going up. But you hit the nail on the head. School finance in the state of Texas is with a scale. And the scale doesn't balance. It always goes like this. Basically, when we reap the benefit locally, short of a TRE, just in general terms, the state pulls back. In fact, I sent some information out, I think y'all saw it today, to the entire district staff about the tracking over the last 11 years on how the percentage has dropped dramatically each year on the state share versus, local taxpayer share. So, you really hit the nail on the head. I mean, because there are people out there that still believe that we've got millions and millions of dollars of extra money because we had values go up this past year, tax values. That's not the case. In fact, our templates that we're looking at over and over again are telling us we're going to have less, much less than anticipated for 17-18 because of that very formula. So that's what they're talking about down the road in Austin right now in the legislative session. That's what we lobby for, but I think it's important when we're in a public meeting like this and it is being streamed to let people know that it's never a penny for penny balance. It certainly is never that way, and we certainly lose a lot more than we gain, even when we have our local taxpayers. And I understand their concern and their frustration because the burden's on them much more than the state now. But they think that burden, they say, well, at least because we're being taxed at a much higher rate, we're going to reap the benefit locally, and you're going to have all this extra revenue. But that's not the case because of the way the state funding formulas are set up. So I appreciate you bringing that up.
Mr. President, I make a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Second.
Moved and seconded to approve the consent agenda as presented. Is there any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say nay. Motion carries. We have 3 action items, and Barry's going to handle all 3 of them.
All right, Mr. Allen, Mr. Murray, thank you. I'm here this evening, you got me loaded up, great, to talk about the next steps as we consider becoming a district of innovation. As a way of reminder of what is a district of innovation, during the 84th legislature, the House Bill 1842 was passed, what we commonly call the District of Innovation, and it was passed by the legislature with the intent of taking traditional school districts like Bastrop Independent School District and putting them in a situation where they could get the same flexibilities that are available to the state's open charter schools. An innovation plan allows our district, or any school district that goes through it, to exempt themselves from many of the Texas Education Code requirements, thus gaining greater local control. To be eligible, you have to have met standard proud to say that all of our campuses and our district has met standards, so we're very proud of that. I think the last bullet is the most important one. When we develop a plan of innovation, the plan's expected to be unique to Bastrop, allowing for our local values, the needs of our district, and goals to be incorporated into the plan. So I think that's right there is the crux of the plan. As you know, we've come before the board at several meetings to talk to you all about what a District of Innovation designation can do for us. We've gotten in front of our teacher organizations meeting to gain support for this proposal. We've also met with our district's leadership team, and I have the dates there, and I gave you all a proposed timeline for the entire process, but I'm only sharing the front half of it for this evening. We also went before our district performance committee. Our district performance committee is a group comprised of teachers and community members and parents from all of our campuses that come together and help us make district decisions such as school calendar, which we'll be talking about at a subsequent board meeting. So we did all that to get out in front of this, to get as much information to see if our district was interested in becoming this. And so far the feedback's been good. There are some reservations, and we'll discuss those as we move forward. But tonight there's three things that we need to do if we want to proceed. The first of which is to consider adopting a resolution. We need to host a public meeting, which we've published for this evening. And then finally, if the board chooses to move forward, then what we would do is appoint the committee. So the first step in doing so is the process begins one of two ways. Either the board adopts a resolution, which I'd like to share with you, and I gave you a copy in your board book, or by a signed petition from the majority of the district level advisory committee. So if you will, I'm going to read the proposed resolution for your consideration and action. The resolution is to initiate the process for exploring the adoption, designating Bastrop Independent School District as a district of innovation. Whereas the 84th legislature passed House Bill 1842, which provides Texas public schools the opportunity to be designated as districts of innovation, and whereas Texas school districts designated as districts of innovation may be exempted from a number of state laws which affords traditional public schools with many of the same freedoms that apply to open enrollment charter schools. And whereas the Board of Trustees believes that decisions affecting the students of Bastrop Independent School District are best made at the local level by those who know our students, district, and community best. And whereas the Bastrop ISD Board of Trustees has adopted a strategic plan that supports innovation. And whereas House Bill 1842 requires districts seeking to be designated as a district of innovation to develop a local innovation plan that allows for increased freedom and flexibility from certain state mandates. And whereas the Bastrop Independent School District Board of Trustees will hold a public hearing, receive feedback from stakeholders to consider the development of a local innovation plan. Following the public hearing, the board may decline to pursue the designation or may appoint a committee to develop a plan in accordance with Chapter 12A of the Texas Education Code. Now therefore be it resolved that the Bastrop Independent School District Board of Trustees initiates the process of exploring and considering the option of designating Bastrop Independent School District as a district of innovation under House Bill 1842. And it's the administration's recommendation that we do adopt this resolution.
Mr. President, I make a motion to approve the resolution for BISD becoming a district of innovation presented by Mr. Edwards.
Second. It's moved and second to approve the resolution for becoming a district of innovation. Is there any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say nay. Motion carries. Move on to the public hearing portion.
Yes, sir. So the second step to the process is the board conducts a public hearing to consider developing an innovation plan. And within 30 days, the board must formally decide to pursue it or decline it. So at this time, what I'd like to do is turn the meeting over to a public hearing to see if there's any input from the public or any comments anybody would like to make.
Any comment from the public in a public hearing? This is one of the only times that the public can actually discuss back and forth with administration or the board.
The question was, is the designation for 1 year? No, it's a 5-year agreement. Thank you.
And it can be
And it can be re-upped.
after 5. Yeah. The gentleman here, they're here from the student perspective. Guys, when you talk about district of innovation, there are some innovative aspects. Really, it's about releasing us from the mandates from the state and allowing us to have some more, freedom to make local decisions. It's kind of like what we talked about during our meetings, and you all know this, that I'll tell you, when you say, can we do this? I'll say, well, we can do this either right away, it's going to take a while, or we can't do it at all. And sometimes, there might be a reason like policy or something like that. And so you've had that conversation with me several times. So what's y'all's thought? I mean, when you hear district of innovation, is there something that just kind of comes out, you think right away that means anything to you?
I don't know, to me, I think it makes a lot of sense, because, obviously with state regulations, and especially in Texas, considering it's got a lot of mass, school boards and school districts in our area are pretty obviously going to differ from school districts in El Paso. We have different populations, we have different standards and situations. So I think it makes a lot more sense to have more freedom with our personal school districts.
That's a great point.
Really very good point.
Great point. Yeah, we're going to let him do the presentation.
Yeah, I was going to say, I'm struggling up here.
Well, and what you just said about the size of Texas and the distribution of the population here, who do you think gets to set a lot of the state mandates for TEA requirements, stuff like that? Is it going to be small rural counties, or is it going to be large metropolitan areas? Is it going to be,
I would say
and how does it
probably
fit?
would come from, just taking a guess, this, I don't have any knowledge about this, but I would say that it probably comes from the higher population, higher funded ones, because they have more power, just generally.
That's pretty true, because I remember when our representative, John Cyrier, went through his first round of representing this area in the school district concerns, he said every time he saw all the legislators from Houston gathering together, he knew it was time to go over there because they're talking schools, and what they do in Houston, Dallas, and Portland affects us here because we're, like you said, we're held to the same mandates. I think
That makes a bit more sense too as well, because Cedar Creek and Bastrop is a bit more of a rural area compared to, say, Austin, Dallas, or Houston. So it makes more sense that things would be different.
Barry, the guys should know this because they're so involved now, and so many other students as well, with our strategic action plan, picking our food service partner. We'll have students involved with the district of innovation planning as well.
Yeah. And that's right. You'll see that there's slots on the committee for students for this very reason. You get this kind of input.
So Devin's already volunteered.
Yes. Already got his name. Gentlemen, you're on.
Any more questions from the public or comments from the board?
I'm just very proud of our board for choosing to do this, and for our administration for embracing the challenge that it will take for us to go out and be more creative, but mold those ideas to our own district. I think it's a wonderful opportunity, and I'm very pleased and proud that we're going to take it on.
I don't know if you mentioned this, Barry, but I think it bears mentioning. We, from the minute we started talking about this and all the way to this point, and as we go forward, not only will our students be involved, but we've been talking with our teacher organization representatives so that the voice of our some 700 teachers in this district are heard as we go forth for the DOI. In some places you've heard where the DOI was done in isolation, basically in a vacuum, and then the teacher said, well, we didn't have a say, and we feel like some of this might be detrimental to us as professionals. We've made sure that they've been with us every step of the way.
Yeah, and that's very important for it to be successful.
And then overall, it aligns with the strategic plan that we have, fitting that plan as well.
Well, and I don't know if this committee member list plans on changing, but I mean, if you just look at the list, I mean, more than half are teachers. It's not just administration down, and I appreciate that.
Yeah, and I appreciate you saying that. I was going to give you it's 56% teachers.
Is it? Yeah.
And then students and parents, and so it's heavily weighted.
Good.
Certainly everything we do at this proceeding with the board or the administrative team affects two very important sets of people, our students and our teachers. Mm-hmm. So obviously we want to have a big portion of teachers in that proceeding as well.
Mr. Edwards, thank you for bringing this forward to us tonight. With that, Mr. President, I'll make a motion to proceed with the process to become a district of innovation.
I second.
It's been moved and seconded to proceed with the process to become a district of innovation. Is there any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed say nay. Motion carries, and then we'll move on to the committee.
As presented in your board packet and through our discussion, administration recommends the committee to create the innovation plan as presented in your board book. It's 56% teachers, parents, students, and administrators.
Would you suggest having a board member on there?
Absolutely. We would welcome that. Okay, so we can add that.
You can add Ms. C. Katz.
Add Ms. C. Katz.
Trustee Mix, you were so impressed with that list. Would you like to make that motion?
Oh, yes. I move that we accept the BISD Local Innovation Committee members with the addition of Ms. Kelly C. Katz.
I second. So it's moved and seconded to accept the committee to develop the local innovation plan, adding a board member, Ms. C. Katz. Is there any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say nay. Motion carries. Great. We are now going to, before we close, some more?
No.
No, I said thanks, Brady.
Okay. I want to thank everybody for coming. I just want to make one comment to SFE. Can you help me with the young lady's name that just left? Patricia. So I've known Patricia in this community for a long time. I didn't recall her name, but I've seen her in her prior employment. She's a great face for you guys. She's always got a smile on her face. Just want to say, I wish she was here, but I just want to say you're very lucky to have her. She's an ace. So I saw her. I've seen her grow professionally with y'all, and it's a great opportunity for her, and she's doing a fantastic job. So I want to say that. Other than that, if nobody has anything else, the board is going to convene into closed session to discuss the following items posted on our agenda this evening as allowed by the Texas Government Code, Chapter 551, to discuss administrator's contract. It is now 6:55.
Thank you all.
We want to hear what y'all were saying while we were gone.
I'll take all this stuff.
Hey, no, you don't.
You streaming while we're gone? That's the question.
Like squares, you can actually write on it. That's I'm an analog guy. I don't do this digital.
Your proximity control is not very good.
I need to get me a book.
It is now 7:15, and the board will now reconvene into open session, and we'll entertain a motion.
Yeah, I'd like to make a motion. I recommend that the administrators listed be offered contracts as indicated.
Second.
Been moved and seconded to approve the administrator contracts as listed. Is there any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say nay. Motion carries. We'll take one more motion to adjourn.
I move that we adjourn.
Right.
Second.
Moved and seconded to adjourn. Thank you all for coming. Have a great night. See you next month.
Quickly. History of the school.
A little bit.